Hello everyone, I hope you're all having a great day today. Now, as you might know, Diary of a Wimpy Kid is a very popular book series, one of the most successful book series of all time. There's just something special about Jeff Kinney's writing that really just makes the reader get immersed into the world of Wimpy Kid. And when you think about it, there are many books or book series that kind of have a similar format to the way that Diary of a Wimpy Kid is structured. But the reality is there's just something special about the Wimpy Kid series that really no other book series can capture. And why is that? Why does the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series stand above the rest? Well, first of all, if we really look at the Wimpy Kid series, when it first came out, these types of graphic novels really just weren't that common. There are so many books like this now that everyone's just used to it, but when the series started in 2007, that really wasn't the case. Now, first of all, graphic novels are actually really interesting because obviously books that were just words have been a thing for a very, very long time, and comic strips or comic books have also been a thing for a very long time. But it wasn't until pretty late on in the 20th century where graphic novels really started to arise, and even then it really wasn't at any crazy rate. The most notable children's graphic novel series that I could think of that came out in the 20th century was the Captain Underpants series, with the first book coming out in the late 90s. And obviously that is a very good book series, but its style of humor and that kind of stuff was very different from Diary of a Wimpy Kid. And also, to be clear, before the first Wimpy Kid book came out in 2007, Jeff Kinney had already kind of made this universe and originally made a longer version of the book. He had been working on it for years, and you can even read some of his work on a website. But regardless, what Jeff Kinney brilliantly did with this series was he made it just the right amount of relatable and just the right amount of funny, and wrapping it all up in a way that it was written like an actual kid would have written it in a diary.
Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Not to mention his drawings are very iconic, the way he draws the characters. It's in a way that little kids can draw it themselves, and that's always a good thing for a series like this because that's a way to get into people's heads. And also a very impressive thing about this book series is that every book is exactly 217 pages. It's never more and it's never less. Unless of course you count the movie Diary, but that really doesn't count because that's nonfiction. And admittedly, in some books there's obviously just some filler to fill up some more pages, but nonetheless you get the idea. It's a very unique series. He did something super special with it. And ever since the Wimpy Kid series really took off, a lot of people have tried to replicate its success, but to be completely honest, that's just not possible. Of course, you have Lincoln Pierce, who is a very good artist and writer. He's been making the Big Nate comics since the 90s, and there's even books with compilations of the comic strips. But in the early 2010s, not too many years after Diary of a Wimpy Kid started, Lincoln Pierce actually started making a graphic novel Big Nate series, which was unlike the comic strips, more in the format of a Diary of a Wimpy Kid book. Now, of course, I don't want to criticize it or anything because it's entertaining, and even Jeff Kinney himself said he liked it, but I don't think it's a stretch to say that the success of the Wimpy Kid graphic novel series led Lincoln Pierce to try something new with his established franchise, and he's even branched off to the Max and the Midnight series as well. Of course, there's some people like James Patterson, who if you don't know is the author of just a ton of books, but in most cases he has a co-author, that way the production time is much quicker, and he's just written a ton of books throughout his career of all these different styles and genres. But in recent history, he's very well known for making some of those types of graphic novel books, like the House of Robots series, the iFunny series, and the Middle School series, which started with Middle School, the Worst Years of My Life. And to be completely honest, that series actually started off very solid. The first few books in it were actually really good, but after a while, it really fell off. I remember reading one of the newer books not that long ago, and it was pretty much just bathroom humor. Not that stuff like that isn't in Diary of a Wimpy Kid, but it's used more cleverly and sparingly. And it's not just like every single joke. And I will say the quality of Diary of a Wimpy Kid isn't really the same it used to be, but that doesn't really mean it fell off because it started off like so good. So even though many of the books coming out now really aren't the same quality, they're still so much better than the average graphic novel book. And there's just so many other books that feel like they're trying to replicate the style of Diary of a Wimpy Kid, but none of them can ever do it as well. Of course, you have like the girl version, which is Dork Diaries, and to be completely honest, I've never read a single page of that, but I just feel like the title was enough to assume it was a ripoff of Wimpy Kid.
$5 for utter garbage.
Who knows though, I could be completely wrong about that. The only type of graphic novel book series that I think has even come close to Diary of a Wimpy Kid's success would probably be none other than Timmy Failure. And the reason that's so good is because it doesn't just try to copy everything about Diary of a Wimpy Kid, it finds a way to be its own thing. Pretty much just about this kid who is very clueless and his perception of the world is just completely wacky. But still, at the end of the day, really none of these book series ever have lived up to Diary of a Wimpy Kid. There's just a certain charm of the series that just really draws people in. And it's not even like Greg alone carries the series. All of the side characters are very iconic in their own ways. But nonetheless, let me know what you think about all this in the comment section down below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.